I've been given the task of collaborating with the World War I Centennial Commission. I'm currently designing and sculpting a 9-foot-long maquette that I will present to the Commission of Fine Arts in Washington come February 15th of this coming year. It's called The Soldier's Journey, and it's a transformational story that represents this moment in history that changed the world forever. To tell this story to the general public, I had to come up with a theme that would be understood by all. And so the whole idea of showing what World War I looked like, what we looked like as human beings is really critical here. So I went into the studio and I got models. I took 12,000 pictures in the studio to make 9 iterations and finally come up with the soldier's journey. It's a hero's journey. After I'd read Joseph Campbell's books, I realized that this occurs in every single culture and every single period of history as well. A template that explains our voyage through life. This initial scene is about the connection between daughter and father. I wanted to create a sense of nobility here, so I put the father on his knee, so he's almost asking his daughter, "I'm sorry that I have to go, but I have to proceed, and I'm doing this for us and our country." The next scene is about the wife. She is moving in 2 directions. Her feet are moving towards the family, and her head is moving towards her husband, who moves forward and departs, and joins his fellow soldiers, and you call it the Brotherhood of Arms. This is a symphony that I've created, in that the outside parts are slower, and then the kinetic energy starts to get a little bit faster as we move towards the center. The battle scene begins at the very edge of the trench. All these figures are kinetically moving as fast as I possibly could move them. This is about animal angst. This is about what happens on the battlefield. This scene is led by this man, is a gunnery sergeant named Dan Daly, who at the Battle of Belleau Woods yelled to his men, "Come on, you son of a bitches, do you want to live forever?" The pose that I've picked here is about courage, the strength to go forward into places that you've never traveled before. They're about stepping into the void. The battle scene is driving down into the ground, and you have this diagonal that goes down, and this is part of the X. X is a symbol for transformation and change, and it follows these mathematical ratios of the golden sector. This is very structural, it's very classical. The soldier falls directly in the center of the composition, so he balances things out. And from here you have the cost of war, the camaraderie and the brotherhood of arms that is created on the battlefield, and the caring that happens between soldiers. The helmets represent the fallen, the unknown soldiers of this war. The next scene explains mustard gas and its effects on the soldiers with the blindness, and the nurse shows the caring quality that the nurses had to have to help the soldiers through such a horrible experience. This diagonal rises and brings you back to our protagonist. A moment of what the hell happened to us. We would call it PTSD today. It was called the shell-shocked look, and it's about the 1,000-yard stare. He is the only figure in the composition that does not move forward towards the future. He looks directly out at you, and the reason I did that is because I wanted the visitor, as they walked along the wall, to arrive at this point and have a sense of connection, because they would look into the eyes of this soldier and sense the emotional gravitas. So now the hero returns, and that's what this section is, and I've incorporated a nurse with a wounded soldier, representative of the female heroes of this war. The figures become stronger and more energetic with more power as they move towards the future. And then that diagonal continues up to the flag, and the flag is the highest point in the composition. This flag bearer and grouping represent the way that our country changed, how it became an industrial superpower from an agrarian nation. And that's what this transformational figure of the father represents as well. And the next and final scene, which is again returning to a much quieter moment, is the father handing his daughter his helmet. She holds his helmet in her hands. She divines the future, and she represents the next generation, which is World War II. And that is a story that I've created here to give a visceral reaction to something that was incredibly tragic and transformed the globe in our society. So each of the characters plays an integral part in this narration. Removing or shortening any of them would destroy the composition visually and eliminate the balance that has been so carefully worked through.